Battered by hardship and frozen by the harsh winter of northern Spain, Sir John Moore's British army marched doggedly toward the port town of Corunna. Relentlessly pursued by Marshal Soult's French forces, they faced annihilation unless they could hold a last stand. The fate of the army, and possibly the entire British campaign on the Iberian Peninsula, depended on their ability to repel the overwhelming enemy until evacuation ships could take them safely away. The Battle of Corunna was not only a test of military strength, but of endurance, discipline, and leadership amid bitter adversity. Fierce fighting erupted in orchards, farmhouses, and hedgerows around the village of Elvina, as British and French soldiers clashed in brutal close combat. Moore's courage and determination inspired his men to hold the line, but the cost was high. This is the story of courage, sacrifice, and survival in one of the Peninsular War's most iconic battles. By late 1808, the Peninsular War had become a major theater in Napoleon's struggle to control Europe. British forces had landed in Spain to assist popular uprisings against French occupation and to challenge French dominance of the peninsula. Lieutenant General Sir John Moore was given command of the British Expeditionary Force with orders to advance into Spain and support the Spanish resistance. He hoped to strike a decisive blow against enemy forces while shoring up Spanish morale. However, Napoleon's rapid arrival with fresh troops changed the strategic balance. Facing superior French numbers and outmaneuvered, Moore was forced into a withdrawal to preserve his army. Though initially intent on offensive operations, reality forced a grueling retreat through difficult terrain and worsening winter weather. The French, emboldened by their advances, pursued relentlessly. As the British fell back across Spain, Moore's challenge became avoiding destruction by securing a retreat route and, crucially, a safe evacuation port at Corunna. The stakes were clear. Failure could mean losing Britain's foothold on the continent, while success would preserve forces to fight another day under new leadership.
The retreat from Madrid to Corunna was unlike any ordinary military withdrawal. Moore's once proud army was reduced in numbers, morale shaken, its troops battered not just by the enemy but by snow, biting winds, and freezing temperatures that turned Spain's rugged northern landscape into a winter-fateful battlefield. The march tested flesh and spirit. Horses and carts broke down, men suffered frostbite and exposure. Rations were scarce and often frozen, clothing tattered against the bitter cold. The muddy, rutted roads slowed progress as their weary feet made slow, painful steps through the rugged Galician hills. Discipline frayed, not uniformly, but pockets of exhaustion caused stragglers, desertion, and even pillaging of local villages. Yet, under Moore's firm leadership, the bulk of the force maintained cohesion, with soldiers driven by loyalty, duty, and the shared hope of surviving to tell their stories. Every day was a struggle against hunger and cold. Weapon locks froze, muskets jammed, and campfires were dampened by snow. The men's boots were worn through, and many traveled barefoot across icy ground. Yet the army pressed on, racing against the French to reach the sea. Despite the hardships, Moore's tactical skill and personal example gave his men the strength to endure this grueling ordeal, laying the groundwork for a final stand that would become legendary. The battered British army reached the outskirts of Corunna on January 11, 1809, only to find their transport ships delayed. With French forces closing in, Moore moved quickly to fortify positions around the village of Elvina, a few miles south of the port. His choice was strategic. The surrounding orchards, stone walls, hedgerows, and undulating terrain provided natural defensive advantages ideal for offsetting the French numerical superiority. Artillery batteries were placed on the commanding heights, covering the approaches most likely to be used by Soult's forces. Infantry units, including the renowned 42nd Highlanders, the famed Black Watch, and the tough 50th Regiment, prepared to hold their ground amid the orchards and village streets, knowing every stone and tree would become a battleground. Morale, though tested by retreat and harsh conditions, held firm. Moore's leadership inspired confidence. He sent out patrols to reconnoiter French movements, organized supply lines as best possible given the shortages, and drilled his troops on holding and counterattacking. With the evacuation transports still absent, every hour gained was precious. Local inhabitants, aware of the coming battle and the British plight, aided by gathering intelligence and manning town defenses. The British Army's cohesion under pressure was remarkable, poised on the knife edge between survival and disaster.
At 2 p.m. on January 16, French artillery opened fire from the surrounding hills, beginning a relentless bombardment on the British defensive network around Alvinia. French guns unleashed shell and shot that tore into orchards, stone walls, and farm buildings sheltering the British infantry. For hours, the British held under shattering French fire. Then, Soult unleashed his infantry divisions. French columns advanced through wooded slopes and orchard rows, bent on breaking the British line and forcing the army into the sea. The British infantry met the assault with coordinated volleys and bayonet lines, turning orchards and stone farmhouses into brutal, contested battlegrounds. Fighting swiftly devolved into savage hand-to-hand combat as French troops pushed into British positions. Units, including the veteran 4th Regiment, faced wave after wave, sometimes forced to stark defensive withdrawals, only to launch ferocious counterattacks. Fights broke out in hedgerows, orchards, and even inside buildings. The village of Alvinia itself changed hands multiple times in the chaos. Despite numerical inferiority, British discipline under fire blunted French momentum. Artillery continued to support infantry, targeting French supply routes and staging areas to disrupt further attacks. Amid the smoke and fury, command and control became paramount. Late afternoon saw another major French assault falter under resolute British defense, while General Moore rode through his men, steadying wavering ranks and directing reserves to critical points. Several regiments distinguished themselves during the fierce fighting. The British 4th Regiment played a crucial role in holding key lines against relentless French pressure, maintaining cohesion even when flanked. Their steady volleys repelled multiple attacks, buying vital time. The 42nd Highlanders, the stoic Black Watch, executed counterattacks that drove the French from captured positions with fierce bayonet charges, turning the battle tide in localized areas. Their discipline under the brutal hail of musketry made them feared by the French. The 50th Regiment faced their own trial, forced to fall back under heavy French pressure temporarily, but rallied quickly with fresh reinforcements to retake lost ground. General Sir John Moore's role was pivotal. Throughout the chaos, he moved among his troops on horseback, rallying units, inspiring courage, and shoring up defenses wherever the fighting was fiercest. His personal bravery was a beacon, strengthening morale amidst exhaustion and bloodshed. Even as British lines bent, leaders maintained order and returned assaults with deadly precision, showcasing the British Army's hard-won tactical mastery.
Strategically, Corunna delayed French plans in Spain and provided precious breathing space for British forces to regroup. It bought time for the Duke of Wellington to assume command and rebuild the alliance against Napoleon's forces. The battle underscored the resilience of British arms under adverse conditions, exemplified the importance of leadership, and highlighted the tactical challenges of winter mountain warfare. The Battle of Corunna remains a defining episode in British military history. It symbolizes courage and endurance amid seemingly impossible odds, where an army, beaten by pursuit and elements, still rose to fight with determination. Moore's sacrifice inspired generations. His death galvanized public opinion and catalyzed reforms, focusing on leadership, training, and preparation. lessons lasting well beyond the Napoleonic era. The battle also reinforced British reputation as a tough, disciplined force capable of fighting in adverse terrain and weather. Soldiers' hardship and sacrifice during the retreat and defense became legends, woven into the fabric of British identity. In the broader Peninsular War, Corunna's success ensured the continuation of British engagement on the continent, setting the stage for Wellington's subsequent victories. The stand at Corunna, fought in freezing orchards and hedgerows with musket and bayonet, reminds us war exhausts armies physically and emotionally, and true leadership can inspire hope and survival against the darkest adversity. The Battle of Corunna is a vivid reminder of leadership, endurance, and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. From a punishing winter retreat to a desperate defensive stand, Sir John Moore and his troops showed extraordinary resolve, holding the line to save an army from destruction. If this journey through bitter cold, fierce combat, and heroic determination captured your interest, subscribe for more deep dives into history's monumental battles. Explore epic stories of strategy, resilience, and sacrifice that shaped Europe's destiny. Join us next time as we continue uncovering the pivotal moments and courageous acts that defined one of the most turbulent eras in history, the Age of Napoleon.